always asking what is it like to be as a Zimbabwean studying in Algeria. Well, stay tuned to find out more. My name is Gamshrai Cecilia, but you can call me May, and today I'm really gonna tell you and share what it actually is like as a Zimbabwean studying in Algeria. Let's go, let's go. So first and foremost, you come, you're dropped at the airport, and then Asambe, we go to Zerada. Zerada is mostly like it's like it's what is the city? It's like a university residence, but usually we're like foreign students go the first time before they're like taken to their respective cities, which is like very nice, very cutesy, very giving. I think this might be Europe. I don't know. And you go there, and it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's bad. Like it's really not that bad. It's actually so cute. Like Zeralda, 10 out of 10. Like it is so pretty. And yeah, you stay there for a few days depending like which city are you going to. Like, is it far, is it near? And then eventually you go to your own cities. Hey, commercial break, because that is where real life starts. That is where like your Algerian experience actually starts. Like you know what? How is the I feel like the first question is like, okay, you've arrived now at your residence. Give us the tea. Like, we all want the tea because I do want it. Like, so how are the residents? You know what? I think you just need it's like a seat in person, because the thing is these residencies are very different from like city to city. What in Algeria is called like a wilaya. So what might be in, let's say, Oran is not what is it in Algiers, but it definitely does not give Europe. That's what I can say. It does not. It does not. It does not. And then obviously there is like a restaurant, like popularly known as resto, where like you can go, like you pay like very little money, and then you go for like your meals. But you can also like cook in your room. Like, yeah, more obviously as a foreign student you definitely end up cooking, but it's like there's no like communal kitchen, or it's definitely like in your room, in your space. But at the restaurant, so one question you might have is, what do they feed at the restaurant? Food. Well, my favorite meal now is definitely like the couscous and the meat, which we get on like Friday, which is like their special meal. Couscous is like an Algerian dish and whatnot, but the meals are like the usual, like rice, pasta. It's just food that's cooked for like a large amount of people. Like even back home, like it's not gonna be like at par. It's not gonna be that good, but depending from city to city, it can get worse. That like definitely cooking on your own will become not like when I feel like it will become like a necessity, because sometimes depending in the city you are, the food can be like kwenzekalayo. But it just depends from like city to city. So now you're in your room, you've settled, food is covered, you're going to the restaurant, you're cooking on your own. What's next? Obviously going to the university where you're going to be studying. So most universities, despite like the city, they are very close to like their residency. There is not like, in some the university and the residence might be just like next to each other. In some way it's not, it's very near, and usually they're like school buses which take you, which you don't have to pay. So like transport to the university is very easy peasy, very on the go, and like you reach where you're going. So yeah, it does not take time. And then once you're now at school, I guess like what's there to know? Obviously you're gonna do your registration process as usual, like registration, ton and stuff like that. But I think what we'd like is like, how is it learning there? Okay, so as some might or might know, Algeria was colonized by French. So like the language at like the what one of like their national languages is definitely French. But one thing to note is that the locals, the Algerian students from like primary, what we call primary back home into Zimbabwe, even up to the end of their secondary, they're learning Arabic. So then when they go to university, that's when like the switch now happens. So but Algeria is now moving more in like to being more so like English nation. So in some universities, those who are coming recently, like their courses are being done in English, but most courses are done in French. But the thing is, let's say if we're back in Zim, right, let's say obviously we learn in English, but if a professor like wants to like go deep, like go to the gist of like what they're teaching, obviously they will like go back to Shona. So it's also like that. Like if a professor want to make their point, they're gonna refer back to Arabic, and you're gonna be confused, babe. Like there's no two ways about it. You're gonna be confused. Like, but I think one thing to make sense is French. Obviously, you will learn French when you come here. It's not a hard subject to learn, honestly. Like it's very easy to understand and read, because most of the words, especially like scientific words, they're very similar to English. What might be harder might be to speak, but with practice, c'est bien, ce n'est pas très difficile. Like it's not that hard, so you get like better. So initially at the first, like in the first stages of you going to school, it might be like a little bit of confusion, like oh my god, the teacher is referring back to Arabic. But with time, like even the Arabic, you'll be like wada zush later. Like if you're doing engineering, even when they now say numbers in Arabic, you'll be like I clocked that, like I clocked that, like I clocked that, like I understood that. So with time, it definitely gets easier. And what else? So you're not going to school. So you know, like back in Zim, even at uni, like we have uni sports, like we have varsity sports, we have clubs. There's like a lot of things to do outside of school. There are clubs, don't get me wrong, there are clubs, but I think the fact, like what I said, like the students learn with Arabic up to secondary school. So like Arabic is their preferred language of communication. So even if you do join this club, it's gonna be difficult for you to integrate more, because like everybody's gonna be speaking in Arabic and you're coming in with your French, which is not like you know, a B2 or C, whatever French level you've reached, which is also might not be that good, or even if it's good. So it might be harder for you to integrate into clubs. But you know, if you're dedicated, there is nothing you cannot do. Like you can join those clubs, babe, and you can make it make sense. But also one thing is nice is that as Zimbabweans, obviously there is a student community. So obviously like events like independence, and also like one thing that we're definitely blessed is having the embassy here. So the embassy of Zimbabwe this side in Algeria. So there are gonna be events that are like for Zimbabweans, by Zimbabweans, independence, heroes, like those national events. They're gonna be held at the embassy. Like at times gonna be held, Japres is gonna be played, you know, like I think they got 25 Winky Z is gonna be there. So even if like you have that nostalgia of like I want home things and whatnot, you're definitely gonna enjoy, because those events will always be there for Zimbabwe, by Zimbabwe, and also by the student community and the embassy. So you, even if like the community is there, you just need to go out. And like one thing in Algeria, like you know, being an introvert is cool, but you definitely need to go out, like be in community with other Zimbabweans. That's Umbimbi Doga doesn't work, yeah. Like Umbimbi Doga doesn't work in Algeria. You definitely need to be friends with other people, not only from your city but from other cities. Like as long as they're Zimbabwean, and also even if they're not Zimbabwean, as long as they're black, like as long as they're coming from, you know, other countries, because obviously Algeria is an African country, but they are Arab. So as long as they're blacks, and you just communicate with them, create a community with them, and all in all, like it's really not that bad. Like you can have an amazing time in Algeria. You can build your community, you can build yourself. And I also think like, oh, one thing I learned, like you learn, but like we have like a big break which we call summer break, because that's like the time when it's super hot, so people are not going to school. That time is super long. It's like 3 months minimum, depending what course you're doing. And at the end of it all, like, you know, summer is usually that time when people are gonna get depressed or people are gonna get sad, but it's also a time where you can actually like grow yourself. Like, what do you like doing? What are your activities? What are your passions? What, you know, moves you? Like people have come out of Algeria being like certified makeup artists, bakers, singers, beat producers, like a lot of things. Like you get to find yourself like outside of academic stuff. What am I good at? Who am I? And there's just a lot. So do not be discouraged when you come into Algeria, and it's different maybe than what you anticipated, or it's different than what you thought life was to be, because it definitely is not Europe, and it definitely is not Zimbabwe, but it is a place where you can make feel like home. It definitely will never be home, but you can make it feel like home. It's also like about being intentional. Like, you have to be intentional if you're a student here in Algeria. You have to be intentional. Like, I'm gonna be intentional about having extracurricular activities. I'm gonna be intentional about my friendship circle. I'm gonna be intentional about, like, school. I feel like it's just, even despite just the issue of being in Algeria, it's just a thing that comes to mind. Like, when you're now growing up, like, you have to be intentional. Like, it's different from when you're in primary and secondary. Like, everything is set up for you, like friendships, relationships, almost everything is set up for you to succeed. Right now, like, the situation changes now in varsity. Like, you have to take the steps to be like, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna do so that I reach there. But all in all, life in Algeria as a Zimbabwe student, nakadula naka, like, baby. So the question, I think, still remains, like, would I like choose to study in Zim or in Algeria? Well, I am getting a stipend, I am getting money, so I would definitely choose to study here. But I think there are advantages to both. And so tell me in the comment section, would you choose to study just like abroad in any other country? Is that, or do you believe that studying in your home country, for me specifically Zimbabwe, or whatever your home country might be, is the best? And see you in the next one.